Africa would be a failure. That there will be terrorist attack and that there will be diseases and all sort of propaganda was spread against the World Cup in Africa. And when the World Cup was completed, it was the richest World Cup ever. And that wake up America to realize that this thing here now is no little Mickey Mouse thing. And Blatter now and his people plan to take this thing into Russia, arch enemy of America, to host the World Cup while I'm having war with the Ukraine. And then you're going to move the World Cup to Qatar next. Russia and Qatar say no to homophobia, say no to same sex. Russia and Qatar are totally against same-sex marriage and the gay movement. The Americans now and the gay movement seem to be trying to invade the football and use football now to promote them agenda. Let's watch it. Europeans have much to worry about how football is evolving and spreading out. They have a rough lesson working from the world of cricket. And if you remember now, you know, cricket was center piece of England. Every man in the 70s and the 60s, one of the biggest desires was to play county cricket. Yeah, man, that was a desire of most of the world cricketers, to play county cricket. So England was the centerpiece. County cricket was a thing. In today's cricket, nobody wants to play county cricket. The cricket has shifted. You want to know where cricket play now? You know where cricket play now, Cassidy? Where do you think cricket play now in the world? Which part everybody want to go play cricket? Eh? No, man, South Africa the money there. India. Every man want to play IPL now, you know. See? Man abandon all them test team now for play IPL. So the world of cricket have shifted from England. The center is no longer England. It's where the money there at the center, you know. And the center is India. Now you see the white man, them conscious say them lose the center, you know. Now you see the football center. Football center right now is Europe, you know. But you see Asia, India with their massive population there, and China, Africa. Them places can just drown out Europe, you know. Yeah, man, if the football go to those places, man, Europe in a problem, you know. And the Europeans know. What they want to continue to do is to rape African talent. Because from the 50s now, you know, they have been going into Africa and been scraping up our youthful talent and taking them into Europe, putting them into third division teams and second division teams, giving them 2-3 years. And by the third year, them sell them for some multi-million-dollar money, you know. They've been doing that for decades, raping Africa of them young ballers. Africa has been the dominant football nation in under 20 and under 17 for years. More powerful under 17 and under 20 teams in Africa than South America and Europe. But it has been a feeding tree. And the Europeans want to keep that supply system the same way they used to come into Africa for raw goods, raw material. It's the same way they want to maintain that raw material sporting supply. So the talent is there. Some of them have even set up camps in Africa to train the youths there in Africa more than bring them to Europe and train them there. Save themselves some money. So many of those European clubs have been raping the young talent of Africa. Call it grooming. Getting them for cheap, no money, and taking them into Europe, sending them into some Belgian and French third divisions. And in 2 years, these players are first-class players in Europe, ready for some big sale. So the Europeans have their own agenda in maintaining Africa as a supply. But Africans must need to think about themselves now in a different position. Because without the Africans in the football, what would the football look like? It is the unity of the black cricket world, you know, that brought down apartheid. Yeah, the unity between the black cricketing world. India, Pakistan, the West Indies. When the man realize them strength and realize if them say them nah play with South Africa, if them don't play cricket, cricket done. It is that boycott that pressure South Africa, you know. Yeah, man, it was a sporting boycott led by the cricketers. Not England, you know. Not Australia. The black cricketing nations. So we have power when we organize and unite in sport. We have to know this as a people. And some of this power now needs to be manifested in the football. You ever see what happens when the African players leave and go play African Nations Club or the English League just drop? Bloop. Nothing no go on in the English League when the African man them gone home go play now. The coach them ball. Them ball when the man them gone. Because the standard that the man them bring to the game lift the game. And we're not noticing them because the television don't show us African football. Every Sunday some look a white man run up and down. And we are run up and down behind them and call ourselves behind them name and we'll fight one another over them man the name. And the Africans them now who are playing glorious football in them nations, the TV not going there. So we in a bind because we now see ourselves in the world of sport and power. Jack Warner now, who was in the Caribbean, was one of the men them was moving through the ranks of leadership and was getting close to the head of FIFA. You imagine how the European Union fret when them say Jack Hazard vice president. Yeah, man, that little darky trying to be control of world football must be crazy. So race becomes a factor because we're talking about leadership and power. The Europeans have been blocking most of the reforms being projected and presented by Sepp Blatter. The Europeans who control 1/3 of the committee that makes decisions, they have been blocking up and fighting against the football coming out of Europe. Now they want to return it to its original days where there are only 16 teams and Europe would become the epicenter again of world football. But you see, this leadership change that we face now, it can be significant. The powers of FIFA are unbelievable. FIFA has taken Israel out of the region that they live in and play them in the European League to prevent them from having to be conflicting with the teams in the area that they can work with. In other words, Guyana is not in the Caribbean. Guyana is in South America. But Guyana plays in the CONCACAF. It doesn't play in South American League. It's FIFA decide that. FIFA decide that you can change your citizenship and play for another country, depending on whether you're a grandmother or your grandfather and how many generations back that you can claim. FIFA decide that. It's a world power. FIFA can stop a war. Several wars have been stopped just to play football, you know. That is the power and the influence of world football. You think the white man them want to lose that power? You think they want them go into the hands of the Africans or the Asians? When Blatter was running for office, he was challenged by an African, higher two, from Cameroons. And then fight him out. And use them machinery and get in Blatter. And Blatter has done what he has done. I must recognize now that this office of world president is an open office. And the African people, African Confederation, the CONCACAF people must think seriously about how to galvanize and to have proper representation in that leadership. Because FIFA is rich. The Americans have their eyes on it. We are the performers. We need to think about no governance. Yeah, without Africans and without the Asians, there's no money in the football. The audience now is in India. The audience is in China. Football is a global game. African people, Jamaican people, we can't just think about just being players and running up and down. Who own the stadiums? Who controls the resources? We have to think about power. Because there's power in sport.
Yeah.
The lines will be open from 2 minutes time. We'll take any calls or any input you want to make onto this presentation. We'll open the lines until about 1:45. 954-338-7943, 7973. That's the international number. 954-338-7973. And locally 453-1444. The effect of this forced resignation, the impact it's going to have on the globe. Interpol is now involved. The FBI is involved. Indictments are being drawn up. There's a dismantling being attempted. And we have to realize that the Soviet Union underwent a certain amount of dismantling. FIFA, as a world government, is under siege. And the one world power that wants to rule is the United States. United States wants the next World Cup. They want the World Cup to be held in America. They have realized that it is a multi-trillion-dollar event. The Russians should not get this, because what it would do is boost the Russian economy and put some hope to the flagging, to the ruble. So the World Cup is an economic tool. The last World Cup in Brazil brought chaos into the society because there was a resistance by the society for the expenditures that the government had to go through just to meet FIFA's demands. So FIFA can pressure a national government to fulfill its demands. FIFA can withdraw its financial support if you don't obey its commands. So it's not a little dibby organization. Europe is thinking about seceding. In other words, now breaking away and having their own government of football, which would leave the African Confederation on their own. It would leave the 6 confederations on their own. Would that be the new order? Would there be a new type of leadership with representation now from each confederation having equal power? Or will Europe try to dominate the places in the World Cup? There are quite a few things at stake, Is trillion-dollar projects, is sponsorship, some money beyond what I can even think of. So we are here as players, African people and spectators. And we need to think about whether we can even force the man to do something in a more organized way for football. In other words, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to be represented. Why should only 5 countries from Africa be represented when there are 50 odd countries on the continent? Why should Europe have such a vast proportion of teams there when the continent is that small? I mean, we have to renegotiate representation. This is politics. And we have to get into the politics of the world governance. That is why when you bring on the president of the world government, you shake up the whole world. Because all nations are affected. All 209 nations are affected by the removal of the world president for the game. Investigations now are quite possible in most federations, most confederations, because it's the same money that has been circulating through FIFA. So this is just the beginning. And what I must do must position ourselves that when the thing will resolve, we are in positions of strength within the world football, not just players. Cyril, I hear the man up there in St. Thomas. You know all the people in Eastern Jamaica. You hear the people in St. Thomas. You hear the people in Portland. You hear the people in St. Mary. You hear the people in St. Anne. This is a confederation of Taki, Gavi, Bogle, and Nani. Yeah, this confederation needs some autonomy, for sure. One of my Facebook listeners and speaker, Charles Hills, him just make you know, say the whole game is not about tackling corruption, but it's about regaining control. Yes. That's what it's all about, the power struggle. The Europeans are trying to reclaim the control of this World Cup football that is threatening now to go to places like Qatar and Russia. Next thing here, say Ghana, China, and the thing just sell out and white man just can't find himself anymore. It's a very important progression, and we can't afford to be trailing. We can't be trailing in this. We need to get into the position of leadership. So we need to begin to present leaders out of both CONCACAF and the Confederation of African Football. Serious issues going on. Right now, the Palestinians have complained to FIFA that Israel should be penalized and ostracized for practicing racism, in the same way the cricket world was able to ostracize South Africa and force them to behave like people. Because in Israel right now, the Palestinians are totally diminished. There's no opportunity for a Palestinian to play in the Israeli national team, even if he was born in Israel. The players are the league. They almost have their own league that has no recognition. So they have been petitioning FIFA that Israel change their racist attitude. So there are a lot of isms and schisms going on in the globe that can be addressed because nearly all nations in the world play this magnificent game called football. The Americans play their pigskin and they call it football. They are in a minority. But they want the whole world to change the name from football to soccer because they have what they call football. It's about power, it's about arrogance. And African people know we have to stop sitting on the sidelines and stop concentrating on how well we perform and how well we look. And how we look. How we look. Where you own. Where you own. We have to begin to lift up the meditation because for 100 years we have been the best performers in sports. best singers and dancers in entertainment, and the best preachers in religion. The post-emancipation experience channel us, our energies, into those three main areas. But the time has come now where we must begin to think about the governance of these things that we have mastered at the performance level. We have to govern these things. So the world football is there's a battle going on over it. It's a world war, you know. The Americans are saying through the league, through the lesbian movement, that they don't want the World Cup to go to Russia because Russia said no to homosexuality. And apparently the national men's team will have some homosexuals on it. Gays trying to push them sexual agenda now, using football as this international vehicle. But for watch what's going on, you know. Because the Americans were never ever really interested in soccer, in football. They're never really interested in it. Them say their games are hand games. People who use them feet are not educated. But they talk about educated feet. Because the thing that we do with our foot and the ball requires an educated foot to do those things. So the battle on my people who are listening, in this World Cup struggle, in this global struggle, where man now being threatened to go to jail and man threatened to bust out, it's not about corruption. Corruption is in all governments. It's in the American government, it's in the Russian government, it's in the Jamaican government, it's in the government of sports. So the issue here is not whether it's not a moral thing. Nothing moralistic about this. It's about who will control world football. And world football right now is being pulled out of the hands of Europe. As much as the European leagues are the highest paying leagues in the world, because it attracts all the players in the world to come to Europe to play. It doesn't mean that is where the world football will remain. Because cricket is an example. Cricket is no longer the center. England is no longer the center for world cricket. It's gone. And the white man, I'm afraid, to the football going to move to. And the African people now must be part of the knowledge of what going on. And not just be drawn in the wind and where it go. Can you think of an African man leading FIFA? What it would mean for world football? Is it that Europe was going back out? Or would be more resources and infrastructure be directed towards these places where you come from? It's a very serious thing going on, people. The World Cup is $1 trillion enterprise. Yeah, multi-trillion-dollar enterprise. The Irish Football Association just came out a couple of days ago to confess that they got $5 million, 5 million euros from FIFA. Because they're about to take FIFA to court for an incident in a World Cup elimination game between themselves and France. Thierry Henry, a French player, handled the ball and prevented the goal from scoring. And the Irishman them lose an opportunity to go to the World Cup. And in order to prevent any further eruption, FIFA just gave them 5 million euros and the world went on. Business as usual. There is no interruption to the football world. And that's how governments tend to work. They must spend the money where to spend without any moral obligation. So the corruption cry right now is a hypocritical cry. Yes. And though this high moral ground that should be maintained, it's not that. It's about power. The royal family in England, they think that the English people should be the leaders of FA, not the Swiss. Yes, them feel says the English, as the founders of the modern game, should be the leaders of the FIFA. And the Americans, them cousin, are now supporting them with the financial investigation by them Internal Revenue and FBI and Attorney General, and them all get very happy now to bring down Blatter. It's not about Blatter. It's about redirecting football from the African and the Asians and to resettle football in the white man's home. Yes, Charles. Say Europe wants to import all the labor from Africa because that gives them global TV audience and plenty money. Yeah, man. So every time the Africans come and join these European clubs, anywhere the African country them come from, all the people from the countryside watch a club there. Eh? What a thing. We want to get into this thing, man. Yeah, man. We're tired for kickball now. We want to direct the proceedings globally.
In Sherwood's forest, seeking bread for poor. Itago jamo, down in Joasifa. Yeah, Itago red hot, down in Joasifa.